Now the story of an LA County Court commissioner publicly admonished for misconduct but still serving behind the bench. The women who complained about him say they now want their family court cases reversed. Gina Silva has more on this. Fox 11 Investigates, part of our series on people lost in the system.
He took my children away from me with absolutely no reason.
It's all about him and his control and his power kick.
It's just not right to just completely destroy someone's whole life, their children's lives.
Carolyn Conrad, Maria Sciarello, Laura Lynn, all three women lost custody of their children. They blame this man, Court Commissioner Alan Friedenthal. They claim he was unethical, unfair, and a bully behind the bench.
Commissioner Friedenthal, I'd like to give you a chance to respond to the allegations made against you. I'm sorry, sir. Do you have a comment?
Friedenthal would not talk to us on camera, not about the women nor about the Commission on Judicial Performance. Earlier this year, that commission put it like this: Friedenthal should be severely publicly admonished for committing misconduct and violating the California Code of Judicial Ethics. The commission blasted him for denigrating, undignified, and sarcastic comments to people in his courtroom, for abuse of authority in threatening to take people's kids away. There were many letters of complaint against Friedenthal, but only 5 were part of the admonishment. Lynn's case is one of them.
The more that I tried to bring this to the attention of authorities, the more that I was retaliated against by the court.
Lynn says she was so upset, she started a website writing about Friedenthal and losing her son. Instantly, she was bombarded with emails from other women telling similar stories.
A lot of them just know something went wrong and they can't understand, but we didn't study law. How do we know what they did wrong to us?
My kids lost the most because none of this was in the best interest of my children, none of it.
Conrad's case wasn't part of the admonishment, but she claims Friedenthal accused her of keeping her kids away from their dad. Then she says he took away all her custody rights, and she will never forget the day her son was taken away.
They had 2 escorts take him right out of the courtroom in the clothes he was wearing. And I was crying, of course, I was hysterical. And Friedenthal said that if I was to cry, he was going to throw me out of the courtroom.
Maria Sciarello tells a similar story. She says she argued with Friedenthal against any suggestion that she was an unfit parent, but she lost.
I said, where are these numerous reliable sources? Where are their declarations? Where are the beings? Where is your proof? This is blatant lies, blatant hearsay. And Friedenthal said, okay, she doesn't get her kid.
Women have been complaining for years about abusive judges in custody cases. The women in this story were relieved when Friedenthal was admonished. They finally felt as if their complaints had been heard and their cases would be reversed. But that never happened.
This admonishment is all fine and dandy, but to me it's a slap on the wrist.
Even though Friedenthal was removed from family court, he is still behind the bench ruling on restraining orders. Laura Lynn went to the Court of Appeals to try to get Friedenthal's orders overturned.
I told them that the CJP has now admonished Commissioner Friedenthal, and they still refuse to overturn his orders, and they don't even mention the public admonishment in their opinion. So I'm working my way up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
2 months after Friedenthal was publicly admonished, he was still appointed by fellow judges to be Secretary-Treasurer of the California Judges Association.
This isn't going to end until you cut off the head of the snake. And the head of the snake is the corruption in the courthouse, in the family court.
In our next report,
he made a comment to me, and I said, I'm not going to answer that, Your Honor. He goes, why not? Are you afraid of me, Mrs. Jarrett? I said, absolutely not. You come off the bench, take your robe off, and I'll tell you what I think of you. He did.
The woman who took on Commissioner Friedenthal and won. Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
Now more on an LA County commissioner publicly admonished for misconduct but still serving on the bench. Tonight, how one woman took him on and didn't stop complaining until she got action. Gina Silva, the Fox 11 Investigates, part of our series on people lost in the system.
Made a comment to me, and I said, I'm not going to answer that, Your Honor. He goes, why not? Are you afraid of me, Mrs. Jarrett? I said, absolutely not. You come off the bench, take your robe off, and I'll tell you what I think of you. He did.
Tanya Jarrett took on Court Commissioner Ellen Friedenthal in 2008. Now, she says, she finally feels vindicated. She wrote 187 letters complaining Friedenthal was abusive and unfair, a bully behind the bench in family court. And earlier this year, the Commission on Judicial Performance publicly admonished Friedenthal for committing misconduct and violating the California Code of Judicial Ethics. The commission reprimanded him for making denigrating, undignified, and sarcastic comments to people in his courtroom, for abuse of authority in threatening to take people's kids away.
I have to tell you, there's over 100 parents that I talked to that have all been in front of Friedenthal, and the stories are all the same.
I'd like to give you a chance to respond to the allegations made against you. Commissioner Friedenthal?
We gave Commissioner Friedenthal several chances to talk about the public admonishment and serious accusations made against him by people in his family court. He wouldn't answer any of our questions about how he allegedly treated Tanya Jarrett and others.
We felt like I was in a third world country. I felt like I was in the twilight zone.
Jarrett is now on a mission to let everyone know what happened when her then 16-year-old daughter Ashley was fighting for custody of her baby boy. Jarrett says from day one, Commissioner Friedenthal made it clear he didn't like them.
Even the CJP said to me, the investigator said, I don't know, we'll never know why he hates you so much, but his comments about you are vitriolic. He hates you for some reason.
Jarrett says she filed so many complaints against Friedenthal that at first she was brushed off and accused of making stuff up. But later, the commissioner was rebuked for telling her the letters of complaint are going nowhere. And with that remark, undermining public confidence in the integrity of the judicial system. Jarrett describes what she considers the turning point in court that led to the admonishment.
The daddy came in without an attorney. And Commissioner Friedenthal said, why are you here without an attorney? Today of all days, you need a lawyer. He said, well, I'm going to talk to you. So he took the daddy by himself into chambers with no court reporter. I stood up and I said, you can't do this. Ashley has to be there. He turned around and he said, sit down and shut up, Mrs. Jarrett, or I'll have you escorted out.
Jarrett says she was convinced Friedenthal wanted the baby's father to win the case. After meeting with the dad in chambers, he ordered a continuance. The next time the father showed up, he had an attorney. The Commission on Judicial Performance later found that attorney was a personal friend of Friedenthal's. He'd attended her husband's funeral.
And obviously, she was there as a favor for Friedenthal because he needed to win this case for himself.
Friedenthal has been removed from family court, but he is still behind the bench ruling on restraining orders. Jarrett's daughter did lose custody of her son to the father. Somebody else made that ruling. Tanya Jarrett has a message for anyone who feels family court is not giving them a fair chance.
I'm begging the women who are out there who have been hurt by the system, speak up. You're not alone.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.